Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.
Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Sunday morning's book reading. How is everyone doing? Thank you always for listening in the present moment, and thank you, everyone that listens after the fact. I get a lot of views, when the show is over. So I hope that this portion of everything that I do is like felt like while you're driving, like you're sick of music and you're sick of other talk shows, and you're like, just let me listen to Tracy's Company of Prophets, Tracy's Book Club. But I also want to remind you, I've been doing book club online for a couple of years now, so I've got several books. So this is just one of many, and I hope you get to listen to it like when you have a long drive, a 2 hour drive or something. That would be so cool. Alrighty now, today is the 7th. Oops, Santo Domingo is getting a little bit of Barrow and Dominican Republic. Oh no, oh no. How's Texas doing? How's anybody in Texas? Let me text somebody that I know is in Texas. Um, Houston, for that matter. Somebody else. I know several people in Texas. Texas is a very popular state to go to. Let me see if I can. Um, Let me see. Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty. All right. So with Kendrick, he is just the man of the hour, and he will be the man for many hours because we don't want him to step down. Like, he needs to have a lifetime man of the hour award, right? Um, so what was I look? Oh, I was looking at somebody else that. Let me see. Somebody else that lives in Texas. Anybody lives in Texas? Because I I saw somewhere where they were not blaming the weather on Burrow, but as weathermen do, they lie. They lie. This weather is Burrow. I don't know why they don't want it to be a part of a hurricane system. Must be like some money's involved that they're trying to save or something. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Okay, let me see if I can. Ryan. Okay, let me see if I can find her. Okay, I found her. Okay, so I found a couple of people, and I'll just leave it at a couple that I found that I know lives in Texas. Good morning, Angela. Hi, everyone. Lisa Stanford. Oh, shit. Message failed. Try again. Oh, no, it's my phone. Okay. And good morning, Lisa Stanford. I have to call Verizon because I keep getting this SOS message. The 2 years that I've been here, I've never had a single problem with my phone. But in the last month or so, it's been problematic. So I am drinking a cup of coffee, cup of Malik, cup of Malik, and it is very, very, very good. Whew. When you need that cup of coffee, child. I only drink 1 cup a day, but I do need that 1 cup a day. Whew. I can't wait to get into an IHOP or Denny's because when I go to eat late at an IHOP or Denny's, I will always drink a cup of coffee. Their coffee, I don't know what they're using, is delish. Delish. Do you know I was in Pasco, Washington, and Denny's, or I think it was IHOP or Denny's, can't remember. They had liquor. They had a bar. They had a bar. I was like, oh my God. You could have a mimosa with your pancakes. Anybody lives in a town where Denny's or IHOP will serve you wine with your dinner and encourage the wine too. They're like, what would you like to drink first? Wine, mimosa? I was like, what are you talking about? What's happening here? What vortex am I in now? All right, but it was a true story. How are you all doing? How's everyone doing? Ooh, that's a good cup of coffee. Sometimes I don't get to finish my coffee, but I am determined to finish this coffee. How are you all doing today? Let me know. Also, if anybody wants to book a reading with me, I am open for a few hours today, so feel free. 213-458-7408. Feel free to book with me. 213-458-7408. Just text, we'll send back the information and a Zoom link when you book the reading. So you do get me live. And if it's not Zoom, it's FaceTime, WhatsApp, IG, phone, it's all of it. I do all of it. Messenger, wherever you can talk to me is where I am. One last thing I wanted to point out, and I will point it out in several comments. Doing great. Just woke up? Yes. That's good. I'm glad you just woke up. I love that. Don't rush up. Good. Sometimes you just got to luxuriate in bed. Did you go to bed late or did you go to bed early and just stay late in bed? Whew, this is a good cup of coffee, child. Whew. All right. Oh, I don't have my bell, but it's over there somewhere. I'll wait till I finish a chapter. How's everyone feeling? Angela, glad you're doing great. Just woke up. That makes me happy. All right. I want everyone to get to the point of, I feel happy today because something is coming, right? But I don't want to I don't want you sitting in fear. I want you to understand that today is your best day. So happy is today. So choose to see that you are potentially happy today. I think is what I'm trying to say. I think. All right. Went to bed late. Okay. All right. I understand. I understand you meant bed. I got you. Okay. Well, at least you slept in. All right. Let's get this party started. We are on page 133, and let's begin. My gift was great until I found God. Then it became greater. Middle of page 134. Oh, I did read that. Thank you. Middle of page 134, guys. Thank you. When I was in kindergarten, my mother said, "When you were a baby, I gave you to God." It kind of plagued me all my life. I had it always in the back of my mind that she said, "I gave you to God and you are going to have to work for God." So contemplates Henry Rucker, psychic healer, and looking back at the possible genesis of his healing ability. In March 1996, Paul Newmark, a Spefia magazine reporter, wrote about Rucker's gifts. Several leading professionals witnessed these happenings when they were with Henry on the West Coast recently. A woman in the store had acted rudely toward Rucker, and instead of taking offense, he looked inside her. I can sometimes look at people and not see the coat or tie or dress that they wear, but see through the skin or even to their organs, Rucker said. If an area is inflamed or infected, I see it as a brighter red. In this case, Rucker saw that the woman's heart was bothering her, but that there was nothing wrong with it. "You've been experiencing an irregular heartbeat," he told her, "but that's only because of some problem with the loved one. It gives you pain in your chest, but your heart is physically healthy, though you are very worried about it. Because of that, you're making the situation worse with the loved one, your husband, I think. And you are not acting like you usually do toward people because you are actually a very kind individual." The woman's eyes opened. She didn't say a word. Rucker went on. "In just a moment, the pain will be gone. And you're going to the doctor next Monday, I think it is." The woman nodded silently. "He will also tell you that there is nothing wrong. Then you'll decide to go to the real source of pain in your heart, and you'll make it right." Now the woman could speak. She told Rucker and those with him that everything he had said had been 100% correct. Rucker works with Norman Shealy, MD, director of the Pain and Health Rehabilitation Center in La Crosse, Wisconsin. The neurosurgeon, who has an interest in exploring the possible use of psychics in medicine contacted Rucker after he learned of his psychic healing reputation. The physician had a personal reading from Rucker and began sending patients to him. Several other psychics and Rucker participated in a series of experiments concerning patient diagnosis. Rucker was found to be correct 80% of the time. He joined Sheely's clinic staff as a psychic medical diagnostic consultant, and in that role, he works with accomplished physicians on their rounds. Other clinics and hospitals in Wisconsin, Ohio, and Texas later acquired his services. In the Everett Herald, August 11, 1979, reporter Clara Phillips noted, "At the pain facility, Ruckus helps patients eliminate pain, not tolerate it." Um, Attitude is the most important aspect of physical, emotional, and spiritual well being, he says. Pain, he maintains, is guilt toward inward. He teaches people to free themselves of guilt and to love themselves. After all, he says, when you love yourself, you're loving God. Ruckus also claims diagnostic and healing powers. He says he sees through clothing and skin into people's vital organs to discover tumors or infections, being correct 4 out of the 5 times because he isn't licensed. He collaborates only with doctors, indicating to them which tests to run, verifying his diagnosis. He also diagnoses from photos doctors send him. Ruckus' healing technique is a little different from faith. Ruckus calls his ability magnetic healing, and he never touches a person. Healing energies from his hands can project out to cut away a malignant growth or sew up a rupture in a person across the room, he says, explaining that he works on the energy field covering that person. There are many people in the world who heal without knives, anesthesia, or prescriptions, maintains Rucker. I think every human being heals someone at some time. I need to mark that. Hold on. I think I think human beings heals someone at some time. I love that. How does this psychic healing actually work? Dane Henley, a friend and colleague of the newspaper reporter, asked Rucker. Rucker responded, the healing takes place on several levels. I've learned that various energies come out of hands that have healing powers. I can project heat across the room. I have done this before with you, so it's not a proving type thing. Hold on. It's not a proving type thing. I can take energy and seal a rupture, for example, a hernia. I need to talk about that too. Hold on. I can pull it back together with the energy and knit, sew, and stitch. I can cut and sever with power like that of a laser beam. Modern People, February 8, 1976, records that Rucker walked up to a stranger, a woman in a supermarket who looked ill. Are you all right? He asked. Just a little dizzy, she answered. You have pain in your abdomen, Rucker said suddenly. She also felt dizzy like this every morning for several days. Your mother died of a blood disease last year, and you're so afraid that you have it. But you don't. You're in perfect health. The reason you feel faint and have that slight pain is that you're pregnant with child you've always wanted, even though the doctor said you'd never have a baby. The woman looked at Rucker in astonishment. How could you know all that? I just know, says Rucker, and now the pain will be gone, now that you understand it. Feel it going. Is it gone? The woman felt her middle. Yes, there's no pain left, and I don't feel as dizzy. Being able to relieve pain from two things, according to Rucker. First, I'm able to tune in on what their pain is because I'm psychic, and that makes a person trust me. But second, the article continues, Rucker seems to understand pain, or at least has a new idea about it. Listen to this, guys. Physical pain is at least 90% guilt or something like guilt. Did you guys know that? Physical pain is 90% guilt. Isn't that something? I mean, I think it's pain barring a real injury. That's what I believe. I don't know. I can't speak for him. He says, yes, we all get sick, but I've seen people punishing themselves by getting sick. And I've also seen people punishing themselves by feeling as much pain as they can once they're ill. There's a lot to go over in this little section. This man is amazing. All right. Let me continue, and then I highlighted everything. Yes, we manifest our own pain through our inner feelings. Yes. Hi, Goldie. How are you? Good health, Goldie. For his book, Psychic City, Chicago, Brand Stager interviewed Rucker according to the African dialects which the healer and his associates have used in their healing work. The particular dialect we use is not important, Rucker explained. We use these dialects in our healing work because we can control powers which are not known by the ordinary individuals. We use them to change the vibrations in a place by intoning certain vibrations. I can change people's entire concepts. By chanting, I could change vibrations in this room so that a person wouldn't want to walk through the door. I don't do demonstrations like that just to show off or to prove a point, however. An article on Rucker in the Globe, July 21st, 1981, elaborates. Dr. James O'Neill, treasurer of the American Holistic Medicine Association, said that Rucker performs his diagnosis and healings by working with patients' energy fields. He can manipulate people's electromagnetic fields by influencing their thoughts. One of Rucker's most spectacular healings involved a young child who had suffered a severe skull injury in an automobile accident. There was a hole in his skull that wouldn't heal or grow back. Henry began working with the child, and the bone began to heal. About the beginnings of his work in healing, Henry recalls they asked me to lecture as a healer. Meanwhile, I have been doing healings. I had stacks of books being sent to me, pictures of healing. They began to call me from all over the world. Would you come over to do this? After I went to the Philippines with the Philippine healers, some people asked me to lecture on it, and then I would do healings on my own. And then the group came over and we worked together. So I was known as a healer. So much has happened in 20 years, Henry goes on. Dr. Norman Shealy came and I gave him a reading, and he wouldn't leave. He stayed for 2 or 3 hours. He asked me to come up to his clinic to diagnose his patients. I worked with him in the clinic since 1972. I function as a counselor, a pastoral, and psychological counselor. My wife and I went to Egypt. I did healing there. They would line up and tell me about their complaints like a doctor. They got my picture up in a lot of stores there. I was in Aswan, Cairo, and Karnak. I'm not a Jesse Jackson or a Martin Luther King. God has not put me on that path. Whatever I do for my race would have to be by example. I really try to organize programs. They all fall through. I really try to be more aware of my black sisters and brothers, assures Henry. I reject no man. When people come to me for healings, I don't consider their race. I heal people from South Africa when patients come to be healed. I don't pick them. I don't know what my mission is. We won't know until I'm dead. I live from day to day, recalling again his mother having given him to God. At an early age, Henry concludes, I do not feel basically that I am the one who does the healing. God does the healing. I can't tell you why, but maybe God chose me as one of his channels. That was nice. I love healers. I love them. I was supposed to be a healer. I refused my assignment here on earth. I knew what my assignment was. I was like, nope, not doing it, God. Nope, it's not the path I'm going in. Hold on, guys. Oh, this thing. I gotta fix this plant. I just don't know how. One of my plants needs some help. Ugh, but it's like all over my house there's plants. I don't know how to do better by it. In any case, I'll figure it out. Um, in hindsight, I regret not learning the healing modalities as I took an alternate route of psychic readings. I regret not studying healing modalities more. But life is lifing, and sometimes we forget. And by the way, it's okay to forget. Like, if I were to die tomorrow, God is not going to say, you forgot. Like, it's not going to happen. I'm not worried that I did not go on the direct path. God, only God understands how rough this life is. And once I became a single parent, it was all about survival, all right? And financial survival, right? And so you can't heal others if you're financially concerned on how to feed your child and how to keep a roof over your head. There's just no way that goes together and healing others, right? Also, I feel like healing others, I would have been taken advantage of. My vision that I saw was people lining outside my door, and I felt like I would be a prisoner in my home. But I also know I would have been taken advantage of financially, right? And by being a tarot reader, I've learned that my service needs to be paid for, all right? By the fairness of who I am, I don't, if I had become a healer, I do feel like people would have taken advantage of me and, oh, please heal me. I don't have the money right now. And it would have been authentic. I promise you. I just didn't want that energy. I didn't want for myself to be felt guilty knowing I could heal, but people were coming with no money, right? And so there was just a lot of factors in not going in that space, I felt. And being a psychic has taught me if you want it, you pay for it, or you don't want it. Like it's so simple. But at least I'm not talking about healing someone's kidney or, I don't know what else medical issues are out there, but there's numerous. And I wouldn't have that guilt. As a psychic reader, if you want the information and you believe I'm gifted, well, then you pay. And I've gotten people over the years, it's like, well, I only have half. Yeah, I don't do half. So when you have the other half, call me. Or I'll say to them, if you don't have it all, you don't need the reading. So let's not play around with, oh, I really need a reading right now. No, you really don't. And that is on God, right? Because if you were supposed to have the reading, God would make sure you had the money. And I don't need to have sympathy because you don't have the money. My job is to give you what you need psychically, but you have to pay. And what I've learned over the years is that everyone has a financial ability to pay. Everyone. In 2024, no, I don't want to hear it. People got money, right? And so what I've done instead was not change my prices. That I've done as a favor to everyone. I have not changed my prices. All right. 45 for 15 minutes is reasonable. $55 for a half an hour, but I am going to change that. I'm changing that to $60 now. $60 for a half an hour is reasonable. And if you really, really need to talk, like really dig in there, well, it's $150 an hour. And I'm still less than most people. Most people take advantage of your grief. I think the store that I came from, I don't, they up their prices. I think their prices, I should check. I'm not going to check. But they up their prices. And that's the store where I came from. Like they understand the value of the services that you need. And sometimes you just got to understand the value of the services that I have. But if I would have become a healer, per se, the way I saw the vision when I was about, I don't know, I think my son was, we had already, oh, where were we? I know we were in Staten Island and we hadn't gone to California yet. I don't think. No, wait. Oh, I don't remember. Doesn't matter. He was anywhere between 10 and 14. And hold on a second. Aw, always thinking of you and your mama. Be safe. Let me see. What color heart should I give her? Heart. Okay, I'm going to give my newest favorite heart is. Wait, where is. Oh, my phone doesn't have the heart. Oh, here it is. My newest favorite heart is either gray or blue. So I'm sending over the blue. Damn it. It's a Caribbean light blue. Have you guys seen the heart? I'll send over both. All right. This is one of the girls from Texas. She responded to me and she was like, we got some rain, but we're good. Um, yeah. There's a part here in the book where he says, everyone has healed someone. I'm paraphrasing now. And I want you to know if you're a mother, it's automatic, period. We're not even questioning that, period. If you're a mom, the healing gift is inside you. Boom, you just get it. But I want you to remember that when you have conversations with people, you can heal. I want you to remember a hug heals. I want you to remember that going to a bedside of a sick person and bringing them flowers and sitting with them heals. It prolongs life. That's why it's nice to get visits in the hospital. And so when no one could visit people during COVID, a lot of people died because they didn't get that jolt of love from their family. One of my son's friends, an adorable little girl, will love her to the end of the world. Um, which I gotta check on her. I'm thinking about it. Her mother had cancer and survived it, and the cancer came back. I think just before COVID, and of course, she wound up being hospitalized for a long stay. When you have some cancers, you don't get to go back home. Like they keep you, because the medical team needs to constantly, watch over you. And so her mom had that treatment where she had to stay in the hospital, but she stayed in the hospital during COVID. So I can only imagine the cross contamination that went on. And they couldn't go, right? But stood outside her window, I think like every chance they got, and put up signs letting mom know that, they loved her. And she could look out the window and see them and, screaming and yelling, like to let her know, like, family is here. Like, we got you. Family is here. And that is exactly that little girl. Like, her doing anything less would be shocking to me. But, Andrew, I'm just seeing a message from you back in December 18th, 2023. That's hilarious. And on Facebook, gotta find this little girl. I don't want to check up on her. Mm-mm. I thought we spoke recently. Hmm. All right. Um, I'll find her. Um, Ultimately, because of COVID, the mom passed. You know, so it is what it is. Let me see what everybody is saying. Oh, I'm trying to get over a cold. Make some oregano oregano tea and drink it 3 times a day. If it's hot, drink it as iced tea. But if you want to drink it hot, that's fine. Oregano tea. Everyone should have oregano in their cabinet. It's a staple, even if you never use it. Um, Boil some water, strain it, put some lemon, lime, or lemon juice, sweeten it the way you would sweeten anything, and drink oregano tea 3 times a day. Okay? It really makes a big difference in in your immune system and getting over a cold. Angela says, interesting, using the African dialect. Someone who is a native, sorry, someone who is a native New Zealander, Maori, said the English language is intentionally low vibrational. Interesting. And I'm sure she meant the English translation from the United Kingdom. Goldie says, I understand what you're saying. Yes, people will get over you. Yes. All right. Let's go back over some of the things that I noticed under Mr. Rucker here. Physical pain is at least 90% guilt or something like that. Yes, we all get sick, but I've seen people punishing themselves by getting sick. And I've also seen people punishing themselves by feeling as much pain as they can once they are ill. Yes, the reason why it's 90% guilt is because most of us have done something poorly to another. Most of us. None of us are without sin, right? It doesn't mean that you always know it. What I can tell you is that you know it in a minute, you know it in a moment, but then you move on and you forget, right? I'm a person that does that. Like if I'm mad, I'm going to slam you. I know I'm slamming you. And then I move on, maybe thinking I'm justified or whatever, but it doesn't matter. If I've hurt someone, right? For the most part, I know it. But is that okay? I was talking to a client the other day, and the client said, I asked a question, the client said something, and I said, you lie. And she goes, not you telling me I lie. I said, I did not mince words. You lie. And I said, for the rest of this reading, you are going to have to figure out that lying or omitting the truth is your problem. And I knew she was taken aback by it, right? And I could see her body language change because everything's on Zoom. Hold on. I could see her body language change. And right away, I was like, oh, I hope she's not that offended that I lose her in the reading. And then I said in the same breath, nor do I care. Because I had to teach her in minutes not to lie. And I get that a lot. you know, I see jail. Has anybody been in jail? No. No, no one's been in jail, Tracy. No, no, somebody's been in jail. Oh, you meant jail? Oh, no, 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 no. Juvenile. Oh my God. Don't dissect it. It doesn't matter if it's juvenile jail or if it's prison, right? The component that got the person put away for a while is a component that still lives in that person. But when you lie, now I've got to take another 5 minutes to dissect the energy. I'm asking spirit, they're telling me no, and you're telling me yes. Like, who do I believe? And spirit is like, girl, the boy's been in jail. So maybe the right words aren't always used, and maybe jail is real for someone and prison is not jail. So if I say jail and it's prison, or if I say jail and it's juvenile, you know, like, but help me help you, because we I got 10 minutes now out of your time, because now I got to talk to spirit. I'm like, what is happening here? Because I see jail, and it's like, no, you see jail. And I have to go back, and I was like, okay, let's move on. And then I'll circle back because they'll say something, and I'll be like, that's it. That's the jail, juvenile. But sometimes they sneak it in there. Like, they know they lied to me, so then they sneak it in there in conversation. Like, well, when he was in juvenile, juvie. Well, that's the jail that I'm looking for, right? Jail is a literal, building, but jail is also mental, right? Locking a kid up is jail in juvie. What do you think it? Oh my God. In any case, so many people give themselves pain for something that they've done, known and unknown, remembered and forgotten. I have to tell you, if you're going to give yourself that much pain, maybe it'll be better. Because by the time you get to heaven, God is going to be like, well, you made yourself suffer so much. Just come on in. You know what I mean? Like, but you're not meant to suffer. You're not meant to carry anybody's guilt. And when I did the Saturn retrograde session, one of the things that I taught everyone was to just say sorry. Say sorry for the things that you know you did. And say sorry for the things that are unknown. Whose toes did you step on and you didn't care? Who did you make feel bad at work and you didn't care? Just say sorry for the unknown things that I've done, God. Moving on. So there's something here about a hernia. For example, a hernia, I can pull it back together with the energy, knit, sew, and stitch. So when my son was less than 2 years old, he wound up with a hernia, which I didn't believe he had a hernia. Let's just start there. I did not believe doctors were right, but I had no proof. Like, only now are we finding out that there are these horrible doctors that just don't care about people, that just give the minimum care and medicine. Like, we know that now, but I didn't know it then. Doctors were God back then. So the pediatrician said, my son had a bubble, and the pediatrician said that's a hernia. So he sent me immediately to a surgeon. So we made the appointment with the surgeon, and the surgeon said, I must operate. And I went, I can't tell you what happened, but I was with my husband at the time, and I went into a trance. I mean, dead ass trance. I was just not available. And I can't tell you what I actually saw when I went into a trance, because I wasn't gifted yet. I was moving about, not recognizing I had the gift. So I went into a trance, and I just wasn't in the room. And the doctor said, look on the calendar and pick a date. And I came back out the trance. I looked at the calendar and I said, maybe on this date, right? And the doctor went away, came back, and he says, okay, we can do that date. I went back in the trance, right? And spirit tells me, this doctor operates to operate. He operates for money. Don't give your son the operation, right? When I came back out of the trance, I looked at the calendar again, and the calendar was a year prior. He had a calendar on the wall that was not current, which helped prove to me what Spirit was saying, but I didn't know Spirit at the time. I wasn't familiar with the language of communicating with Spirit. This was literally the first time I could acknowledge that something different occurred. And so I looked at the calendar and I looked at the doctor. Remember, Spirit just told me he operates to operate. I looked at the calendar, I looked at the doctor, and I believed Spirit. And so I thanked the doctor. I said, thank you. Um, he says, oh, my secretary will follow up and tell you exactly what you need to do to prep your son at home for the operation. And I said, thank you. Now remember, I could have called him out his face, because Spirit had already told me. I also believed Spirit. But I've learned, to, to get out safe, get out safely. So we left the doctor's office. I looked at my husband and I said, there's no fucking way he is getting an operation. No way. So, of course, my husband, who doesn't know I have the gift, I don't know I have the gift, was looking at me like I was a bad mother. What do you mean? He's not going to get the operation. He has a hernia. And I was like, calm down, calm down. This boy is not going under the knife. How the fuck he get a hernia? So, no, right? And so time went by, and I swear to God, I don't think I saw my son's doctor. Remember, he's 2. I don't think I saw my son's doctor for a year because I didn't want to explain to my son's pediatrician that we did not go through with the operation. So now I'm forced because he's just missing his vaccines, which back in the day were a lot safer than they are now. And they call me and they're like, he's missing vaccines. You have to get in here. And I said, okay. And so I get in, and the doctor looks at the books and he goes, whatever happened with his hernia? And I says, oh, well, I just decided not to do it. And he's picking him up and tossing him around. And he's like, sometimes you don't need it. I was so pissed. I was so pissed. Why didn't somebody say to me that just wait it out? Like, look at it in 6 months. Let's look at it again. Why did you send me straight to the pediatrician? I mean, to the surgeon. So I never trusted the pediatrician after that. So now I was behind in vaccines. And again, being a young mother and ignorant, like you just don't know things. And so now it's time to get him catch up on his series of vaccines. And he says he's missing this. I don't know, it was the MMR or this, that, and the third, etc. But there's a way you're supposed to give it. And so I said to him, we're going to give him one thing today. We're not going to bombard his system with chemicals. So, one thing, and I think the one thing that was important was the MMR, which was 3 things, right? But it all rubella, measles, mumps, measles, rubella. So I said, let's just give him the one thing. And then I think with the MMR, it's a series of 3, so he already had it. So the MMR, but he was late for the last one. And so we gave him the one. Doesn't really matter. The whole point when discussing it with the doctor is that we could get him caught up by school by the time he enters first grade, because there's no guarantee every kid enters kindergarten. So it's like we can get him caught up by first grade, which would for him it would have been 6 or 7. He might have been 7 in first grade because he's born in September and in New York City. You got to be a particular age by August, and so September they keep you a year behind. So for him, it would have been 7 in first grade. But in any case, I uh, I did that. Um, all right. I think that's what I needed to tell you. Has anybody tried healing others, or see or saw that a conversation or a touch of the hand has healed someone? Or has anyone ever said to you, I feel so much better after our conversation? All that is forms of healing, all of it. Or has anyone ever been healed by someone's kindness? Kindness. And no measure if it's a cup of coffee or, infinite possibilities of kindness. Um, Let me know, because I think, and this is part of the spiritual uh, mentoring that Jason and I will be doing. Like, part of it is recognizing you, right? I have always been brought up ostracized by people that should have loved me, right? Including my own mama, right? Ostracized. And so I've had to navigate through spirit. I had no one that would, like, you know, in my family, I had no one. I think my aunt tried, but she tried in a way where it was like making my mom jealous. I don't know if that's like fair. Is that true healing? When I don't know, I'm measuring and judging. In any case, I never had anyone, female especially. When I say anyone, I mean females. My dad was always the biggest healer in my life. Amazing healing man, amazing. But the women in my family, they were so toxic and so wicked and so, I hate to say this, but jealous. And I'm not even sure what the jealousy was. And so I don't think I always got the blessing of female healing, right? But I do get the blessing of men healing. Like, men are drawn to me. They think they like me. They really don't. It's the light that they see, the energy feel. It does stop a lot of men, and they internalize it to be sexual. It's not. It's not. But they don't know it, right? But boy, I could have been a wonderful tramp. If I thought about it, oh, could have healed a lot of men. Oh my God. Thank you, Angela. Tracy Brown and Jason D. McKean are hosting a 6-month spiritual mentoring program starting July 14th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Contact me at tracybrownlive@gmail.com. So, all right. Listen, guys, I've got a lot of history. I didn't get to be 62 years old without having a lot of stories with I in it, right? Had a lot of experiences. Most interesting enough, spiritual. Most, interesting enough, rough. I'm like, oh, here we go. This is a rough season. All right. Are we ready to move on? Alpha Omega. Wait. Bell. Wait, Bree, I didn't see this. What the hell? In the 80s, that's when my son was having an issue. He was born in 88, so this was 90. In the 80s, a lot of black children were given hernia operations and later in life were diagnosed with reproductive issues. What? Fuck out of here. What? What? Whew. That is so scary. Two of my female cousins had hernia surgeries and was then later in life diagnosed with endometriosis. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Wow, that's so crazy to me. Yeah, I kind of felt like, I mean, I can't prove it, and I think he technically was a great pediatrician, but I can't prove it because nothing ever happened to my child. But I kind of felt like the pediatrician and the surgeon were in sync. And this was before we had medical alignment, right? Before we had, like, because this is what you all have, like doctors all under the same healthcare facility, right? There was nothing like that back in the day. So I felt like my son's pediatrician put me with this surgeon to give the surgeon money. And Spirit was like, oh, he's just building his house and giving himself a dream house and is just doing a multiple of operations. That's what Spirit told me. And I was like, not on my watch, not on my baby, you know. Um, but the hernia healed on its own by listening to Spirit, or I can't prove it, or the need to not make the hernia a thing, right? So I can't prove that I did this, but I can't imagine that I didn't put my hand on my son's hernia and say, heal, heal. I can't imagine that I didn't do that, but I don't know if I did. But that is sick. I'm so sorry. Like, hernia is not a common, it's not a thing. So I would say if your child has a hernia, oh, But then I remembered later on that if he had a hernia early on in his life, then he shouldn't play sports. So, other than soccer, which is running up and down, um, I never put my son in any sports program. And that again, I got from spirit. I can't say how true that is, but that I got from spirit. Like, you don't want to put him in a place where it can get stretched out again and he'll wind up having an operation anyway. So I never put him in sports. He's very artistic, not autism, artistic. And so I put him in anything, music, poetry, you know. I did put him in dance, you know. Anything artistic, I put him in. But sports, I avoided like the bubonic plague. I still hate sports, but that's just my dumb ass. People love sports. It's still like that. You go to one doctor, and that doctor will say you need to go to a specialist, and these are the specialists I can refer you to. Then they try to operate on you from there. Yeah, yeah. And I would just say, as a healer dealing with the medical professionals, um, never rush. Never rush unless your appendix busts, right? So if you can get a second opinion, get a second opinion. If you could get a third opinion, get a third opinion. But never rush. Because if you need to rush, God is going to put you with the right people at the right time, blah, 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 blah. But just don't believe the first thing that comes out of somebody's mouth. I don't care if it's cancer. I don't care if it's a hernia operation. Get a second opinion and do the diagnostic all over again. Now, your medical facility will trick you because if you got, a CAT scan under one doctor, they won't do the CAT scan again. So that means you have to say to your doctor, and you have to say it, can I have my CAT scan records or send it over to the doctor because I am going to get a second opinion. I just wouldn't want the first doctor to know who the second doctor is. So I'd rather just carry a copy of my records or whatever. Alrighty now. Just remember, everyone, you have the ability to heal. So let's start figuring out where your healing modalities can come from. Remember that we all have the gift, and that's amazing to think about. Also, remember that when you are sick, what is your choices when you're sick, right? If you're feeling sick out of guilt, acknowledge that something went wrong so that you could just get back to healing. All right. I remember my mom, I was in California and I came back to visit my mom. And I knew she was sick. I didn't know how sick, right? I knew she had kidney failure. I also knew I felt she gave herself kidney failure, right? This woman is healthy and but she's been a hypochondriac all her life, right? One day she wound up being hospitalized. I was like 13 years old. And we went to go visit her in the hospital. And she literally called the hospital stay a hotel stay. And I remember thinking, this woman is not okay. I remember thinking she put herself in the hospital because she gave herself a medical condition. And then when she's done with the hotel stay, she heals. She's actually very gifted. And so when she's done with the hotel, what she called the hotel stay at the hospital, she's miraculously healed. It's hilarious. She is very gifted, just didn't use it well in terms of having healing powers. Oh my God, she was so gifted. And even just so I can add this to the story, my mom, I make rosemary oil right now, but I grew up with a thick head of hair, me and my sister. Never had a problem with our hair. And my mom put together reading the uh, Back to Eden book. She's so gifted. And she put together nettle, sage, and burdock root herbs and a little bit of boric acid. I don't know how boric acid comes into this, but it does. And she would boil the herbs, strain it, wash our hair, condition it, and then the last thing that she would leave in our hair was this solution. And this solution not only made our hair grow, but made it thick. Like you could pull on our hair with a mat truck, it will not come out our heads, you know? So I feel like I've taken on her ability to grow hair with the rosemary oil. By the way, the rosemary oil is available. It's back up now. All right. So if you want it, get it. If you want it. Mm, That's the rosemary oil. So if you want it, it's available for purchase. But she was gifted, but didn't always know how to be best at it because her qualities weren't always the nicest. But then she couldn't see that her qualities weren't nice. So it's all very weird when you're gifted and mean at the same time. It's crazy. And then you're a victim. I don't know. Thank you. Thank you, Angela. All right. What time? Okay, we got a half an hour. A lot of women used to call a hospital. What? Because a lot of women used to call a hospital stay a hotel stay because they felt that maybe they weren't really as sick as the doctor said they were, but what they really needed was uninterrupted rest. Wow. Well, that might have been my mom, child. That might have been my mommy. All right, let's get through to the next story. Thank you, Bree. Alpha Omega had a series of dreams in 1978. Alpha Omega came up earlier. Many nights of that year, she dreamed of being taught in the same classroom setting. The dream rose an unappeasable interest in reading, which led her to read a great diversity of books. I had dropped out of regular school in the ninth grade. It was boring. I've never had idols, nor have I worshipped people, but I've always been enamored of someone with a fine mind. And when I was growing up, I often sought out elderly people. The dream state classroom held her attention with themes dwelling mostly on the cause and effect relationships and diseases from spiritual sources. She began keeping a notebook for the insights, which would even come during the waking hours. My interest has always been in dealing with feelings and what makes up the human person. I suddenly could read enough. The books were all saying the same thing. I was being led to the religious context in all the books. And then I began to write for an entire year. I wrote. In 1979 through 1981, the writings continued. I carried the book to record about disease, its cause and effects. I was going through many changes in my life. I began to experience more love. It was almost to the point of being painful. I began to get the realization that I should stop doubting. I felt as I was being prepared for something. person reaches a point in seeking and becoming sensitive to everything outside themselves. Crisis provides the path to, um, oh, I can't say this word, evolvement. This occurred with me. I had reached a point where nothing was right. I was living on the outside and life was leading nowhere. To gain understanding, she attended psychic meetings. At one, Arita said healing power radiated from Alpha's energy field. The energy would turn harmfully inward if not. Oh, what? Oh, oh, this is interesting. Um, at one, Arita said the healing power radiated from Alpha's energy field. The energy would turn harmfully inward if not utilized. Oh, that's interesting. The psychic warned. The reader who held meetings in her own home invited Alpha to the next one. A room full of people were already gathered when Alpha arrived, waiting for her to work on them. Although she protested, she soon found herself working amongst those lined up for help with natural certainty, moving her hands over their heads. One woman complaining of a chronic thyroid problem told Alpha that her condition improved after the session. Several other people with physical ailments spoke of the healing benefits they felt after her work. With the newfound ability came an extremely uncomfortable side effect. It seemed that the pains, emotions, and spiritual blocks suffered by the people she had treated amassed in Alpha's body and auric space. I hate that. Didn't we talk about that last week? Like, if you're going to heal, you got to put it somewhere, throw it to the ground, give it to the air. Like, I feel like you just can't heal and not take on. So it's really important to know that you have to throw it somewhere in the ground, or sometimes you could heal and put your hand in water, put one hand in water and heal with the other hand, right? Or have dirt around, put your hand, like let's say you're not outside and you're healing inside, have a bowl of dirt, put one hand in dirt, the other one to be used for healing. Yep. I had to get closer to God. I started meditating and reading the Bible. I prayed that if I was going to be the vehicle to help others, that God would give me more knowledge, which is true. A new manifestation appeared when she resumed her work. Whenever she gave treatments, she belched. Interesting. The aching and discomfort dissipated as she belched, and eventually the discomfort ceased. Belching, she learned, allowed energy which had previously accumulated to her to be released. She could actually feel the energy pulling away from the organs of her body through this process. Those receiving treatments also began belching with beneficial effects. Well, that's hilarious. My biggest battle as not to become a big ego as I was getting more attention. I had to work at understanding I was just a vehicle that other forces were working through. Many people have been so gifted. As Alpha worked on people, she gradually realized she was dealing with energy fields, revealed to her that each individual had a timing system which she could audibly receive. There were distinct sounds and voices in each one's psychic space. She often picked up the impressions of relatives and friends as she worked on a person. Their ailments and problems were there as influences the sick one. She heard harps and singing from one person. These she successfully recorded on tape. There was also the time she was able to control the flow of blood from someone injured. And amongst the treated, one of them gained psychic abilities as Alpha worked on her. I have gone back with people to their basic personalities, the creative areas of their minds. I began to pick up energy near the beginning of time. Alpha Omega lives in New York City. Through teaching and lecturing, she encouraged individuals to move towards higher states of consciousness and realizing their spiritual potential. That's what the mentoring class is going to be. It's going to be, let me see, she encourages individuals to move toward higher states of consciousness and realizing spiritual potential. She continues to receive insight on how she is to work. Nothing is beyond our knowledge. She recorded psychic sounds as a part of her treatment process. It became evident that when she touched a person's body, the sounds from his or her energy field could be transmitted to tape and thereby perceptible to others as well. She plans to use this information further to understand spiritual energy. Oh, I wonder. Oh shit, what did I do with it? Oh, please, God, don't tell me I threw it out. If I can bring to the world in sound and sight what energy really is and what we are composed of, I'll be satisfied. When people can see that we are not just one entity, but many, we can begin to understand. Oh my God. I don't know what I did with it. Okay, so one of my neighbors, uh, I bet I threw it out. Because I remember saying, Tracy, don't throw it out. And I was like, why would I want this? One of my neighbors moved quickly and she gave me a whole bunch of stuff. And when I cleared out the stuff, there was a stethoscope inside. And I remember thinking, what the hell am I going to do with a stethoscope? Right? And now, after reading this, it would be very, very interesting to hear the sounds of someone's body parts. Like if you have knee injury, it would be interesting to hear the sound that that injured body part could create. Like, could you hear music? All right, well, I don't know where the stethoscope is now. I think I threw it out. Oh, well. Let me see. Angela says, women, especially back in the day, are worked like mules, cooking, cleaning, and tending to everybody else. That the only time they get a break is when they go to the hospital. That is so sad. I don't think that was my mother, but that is so sad. My mother had psychological issues. I do believe she created an illness to get a break. And back in the day, there was no 3-day rule, you know, with work. You just be like, I'm in the hospital for 2 weeks, child, and come back all refreshed. I mean, I do believe that was her mentality, though. Calculated. Mentality. Ah. But I remember thinking half the time she wasn't sick. I'm like, you're not sick. But I think I get it from y'all's perspective, Bree and Angela, that it's just a hard knock life. For us, it's a hard knock life for us. And literally, for us. I mean, African American women, and we don't get a break. And so I can see how creating an illness is a way and a tool to just sleep and be tended to, right? I get it. Yes. Hi, Nashiva. How are you? And when you say Chad, do you mean the group? Who's Chad? All right. I'm hungry and I think I will eat egg salad. And also, I am going on a date. A real date, people. Finally, a real date. Um, and I met this guy through hanging out at the farm, which is weird, which is weird. Because I kept asking God, I was like, how come I not meet, I meet a lot of people, by the way, and people do take me out on dates, but the dates around here are up and down, you know, the coastline. But in any case, I'm going on a real date. And I met this guy because I don't know if I told you, but I started going to this farm to pick sweet peppers. And I love the experience. I actually, it's very manual labor, but there's something soothing about it too. I just feel connected to my ancestors when I pick these sweet peppers, right? Kind of feels like picking cotton. Like I feel one with them, right? And every time I go, his name is Mr. Raymond. He always has somebody at the farm. So he never leaves it where it's just him and I. I notice that. I don't question him, but he always has somebody at the farm, right? And so yesterday was a new guy at the farm. And I remember looking at him Mr. as he came out the to the place. I remember looking at him and the only thing I noticed was his crystal on his wrist. It was encased in copper and it was a citrine. So I noticed it but didn't care, right? I trust no one, so I'm not trying to find my man, right? I'm just like, okay, I noticed the copper and the crystal. And then I went on to do some work. But I get tired. I sat down, went to be peaceful with nature, drank my bottle of water that I bring to me every time I go to the farm. I bring 2 bottles of water. And he comes over to me and he says, where are you from? Where I'm from, blah, 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 blah. Just talking casually. But again, I get these casual conversations a lot. What the trigger was is when he pulled out his stones. And it wasn't his stones because I'm not impressed with crystals. He pulled out his stones in a clean leather bag. And I was like, oh, his bag is so clean, which tells me that he valued his stones. By the way, nobody I know really was walking around with stones, right? So just the fact that he could pull out a bag of stones should have been interesting enough for me. No, that wasn't it. I could give 2 shits about crystals. It was the bag. It was a soft, like leather bag that you would find on an Indian reservation. Very soft, but it was so clean. And I didn't say anything to him, but my mind was like, that's a really clean bag. So he goes, hold out your hands. I hold out my hand and he puts the crystals in my hand. And I was like, oh, I know what this is, and this and that. And then opal, pink opal, I think was one of them I was drawn to. And he loved the labradite spear that he had had. And when I felt it, it was heavy. So a lot of energy. And I said to him, I said, "You're putting a lot of energy in this labradorite because this is heavy." The stone wasn't heavy, it was something internal that was heavy. Weird. And so I gave him back his stones and I go, "I noticed." I said, "I'm not surprised you pulled out your stones because I noticed your wrists and your citrine cased in copper." And he didn't seem to be impressed with anything that I said either. It didn't seem like, "Oh yeah, you noticed the citrine," which I hate people like that, to be honest with you. Like, I don't like competing in any topic. And so we kept talking, and "Where are you from?" Blah, 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 blah. Went on to more conversations. And then he says to me, "Do you have a paper?" And I'm like, why? Right? So I was like, "I have a lottery ticket." So I pulled the lottery ticket out. He found a pen and he gave me his number. And he says, "Call me. I would like to get to know you more." And I thought, what? But then Spirit was like, he, he likes crystals. Look at it differently. He likes crystals. And I was like, "Oh, fine, Spirit." And so I said, "All right, I'll contact you." And so, to be honest with you, I couldn't wait to contact him because of Spirit. So I just waited a couple of hours on purpose, ate lunch, and then I contacted him. And he got back to me and he's like, "Can we go on a date tomorrow," which is today? And I was like, "Oh, no." But I text back, "Sure." So I have a date for for myself. So wish me blessings, guys. Wish me blessings. And when I ask for blessings, like, I'm not looking for any man to be the one. I am 62 years old. I will never bank on a man in my life ever again. I've banked on them, they failed me. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for the camaraderie, the comfort zone, right? Somebody that's not offended because I'm a psychic, right? Somebody that could listen to my conversations and not be like, "Oh, that's how you feel about men." I'm be like, "Yeah, that's how I feel about men." Like, get over it. That's not you. So, and somebody could just go to movies with. Like, I love the fucking movies. Ugh. So, oh, Nashiva says, "You are my Sunday cup of tea and opening for the week ahead. Essentially, you need to talk to your plant." Wait, which plant? The one that I said yeah, I gotta fix it. I just feel like I need to crumble up the soil and stuff. I don't know. Maybe it needs to be in a bigger plant now. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I need somebody that's a plant person that could tell me what I. The plant is fine. It's still driving, thriving, but it's whatever. Okay, thank you, Nashiva. Bree says, "I love this for you." Oh, thank you, Bree. Right? Right. Have a wonderful date, Tracy. Thank you. Yeah, Angela, I think that's what I did get from him, that he is metaphysical. So I would certainly like to find out how he found his way to the crystal world. Oh, no, he was always friend zone. John is a friend. He's not in any way anyone that I want to date, but he is an amazing friend, which is two different things. No, John is not. I never wanted to date John, you know. He's a friend, true and true. And I like that. So he's a friend as much as Richard is a friend, but Richard's crazy, racist, and funny. Eggshells, perhaps. Oh, I heard of that. I heard of eggshells for your plants. All right, I could do that. Thank you, Nashiva. Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying something. Then I'll get some. It needs. You know what it feels like. You know when you have a plant, but the soil is matted. That's why I think I need to take it out, but I can't take it out, right? Because this plant is all like, ugh, I can't take it out. I have to lift it. Ugh. This plant is all over my bookshelf, the leaves, because it's one of those plants with all these tentacles. And so to start unraveling would be a nightmare. So maybe my new friend can come to my house and help me repot it without disturbing the plant. We will figure all of this out. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you for your blessings. And Nashiva, thank you for um, hold on. Oh, Nashiva, did you get my message about your Irish twin? I emailed you back. All right. Oh, you have a green thumb? Oh, or Epsom salt? I'll send you the picture of the plant. All right. Let me send you a picture of the plant. I'll email it to you and then let me know what this plant would need. The plant is thriving. That I want to say that, but I could tell by the soil that it's starting to go left. So I'm just trying to save it before I lose the whole plant. All right. I'll email you. You didn't get my email? Nashiva, I sent you an email July 4th. Check your emails. I explained your Irish twin. Yeah. Very fascinating, by the way. I would love to know your story because very, very fascinating. The message that I received from Spirit about you and your twin, Irish twin. All right. Who loves you? I do. Take it easy. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy